everybody, it is I, David, and today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to go and do some sewing. I'm going to attempt to sew a little dice bag or a little gift bag. Perfect ideas for if you have to get some small presents and you need them wrapped up. What's better than making your own little bag? I'm using this kind of fabric. It's an offcut of a curtain, and I'll be cut out a bit of it and turn it into a small little bag. And for that, I have a few tools in hand. Got myself a pair of scissors. These are fabric scissors, so they don't have any sort of sharp, they don't have any sort of cutting edges here that crinkle the fabric, keeping it nice and flat. Got myself a tape measure in both centimeters and inches for all you in America. I have a set of needles, depending which one I want to use for the sewing. The red fabric, because red and it would blend in better. A pin cushion to put my pins in. Of course, my pins. These will help keep the thing together as we sew it. Right, a bit more space. But yeah, it's a different thing. I actually do enjoy sewing, believe it or not. I enjoy sewing. I find it somewhat therapeutic. At the moment, this piece of fabric is a bit too big for a little dice bag or a little gift bag. Something this big you'd be looking at for a handbag or a purse. But unfortunately, as you can see, it's not exactly great. It's got some frayed edges. It's not straight in places where it's got tears from when it was cut to make the spare piece of fabric. They obviously didn't need this bit. So, how are we going to do this? Well, first of all, we take our tape measure. Beautiful little tape measure. We need to have a little piece of fabric that's roughly 15 by 22 centimeters long. So 15 by 22. We're going to go from the top here, from where our white bit is, and we're going to measure 15 centimeters, which is there. Now I don't have any fabric chalk, which means this is all done by eye, and perhaps we'll go a little bit over. So there is our 15 centimeters. Okay? There is our 15 centimeters. We then need to, from that mark, go 22 centimeters high. So we turn it around his way, and we'll go from that mark to 22 centimeters, which is up here. Okay? It's best if you do this on some sort of flat surface that you can easily move around. I've not exactly got the best surface in the world here, doing it on the floor. The best surface doing it on the floor. Okay, so I'm going to cut out this strip of fabric here, because we know that from the right edge to this point is 15 centimeters long. So that takes us down from a big piece of fabric, just a bit over there, to this smaller piece of fabric. Okay, we now need to tidy it up a bit and decide where we want our 22 centimeters from. Now both edges are not straight along here, so as straight as I can, make the edge straight-ish. Also getting rid of any sort of random frayed bits. Alright. So we now have a bit more of a straight thing. Go down 22 centimeters is there. I always give myself a bit of what we like to call wriggle room in the profession of English. Right. A bit of wriggle room. So now I have two bits of fabric. Sorry, this was getting in the way. Kept on hitting the good old thing. So I've got two bits of fabric. Put my scissors to the side for 1 minute. We are going to use this piece for this example. We'll pop that one over there. Now we have our first piece of fabric that is to the size we want it. We need to decide which way we're going to have the top. I'm going to have the top here, here, or here. Now the way that we fold, look at this design is, you fold the fabric in half like so. This gives you an edge that you don't have to sew. If you decide to have the fabric opening at the top for your little bag, it will become longer but not too deep, and you'll also have to sew up two sides. If you want it long ways with your like left hand side, you've got two sides to fold as well, and then this one you've got two sides to fold as well. I prefer having it this way round, with the fold on the left hand side because I am right handed. Try and, first of all, line up the fabric as much as possible. Then, what I like to do, once I know where my fold is, and then fold in the bottom edge. Right? We've got our white bit. This is where our pins come in. So we fold in the edge of our white bit, because that's the part of it, and that'll be the nice base. Fold in half again. So we've got two folds. Okay. Grabbing my pins, be very careful with the pin guys, especially if you're accident prone. And you want to secure for when you're sewing. Now as I'm going right to left, I want the non-sharp end of the pin on the right hand side and the sharp end of the pin going into the fabric on the left hand side, leaving myself a gap to sew underneath. This not only holds the fabric in place, but allows me to have a certain level of control. We want that level of control, and we don't want our fabric to, well, slip around. Now you may be like, but David, there is an issue here. Some of your edges are frayed, and I'm like, yes they are, but that won't matter, because what we're doing with this particular pattern is we're sewing it from the inside. So this plain bit is the inside, where this bit with the pattern on is going to be the outside. And you're like, well, how does that make any difference? Simple. It makes a difference because these bits would be the seams. Okay? These bits would be the seams. So we've now got our piece of fabric ready to go. It is not going anywhere, and you can sort of see of how the bag will take place and shape. Big enough for about a hand to go in and grab something. I am using red fabric, so I've chosen a red thread. This would mean that it's going to be more unlikely to be seen. Now the amount of thread you need is quadruple that of the area you're sewing. So our area that we're sewing is that by that, and then we need to double it. So that by that, and then once again double it again. That by that. Now this still might not actually be enough, so I'm going to give myself a bit of wriggle room. I'm going to cut there. So now we have our thread. And now comes one of the most painful moments in all of sewing. Getting the needle that we want, our sewing needle, we have to thread the end through the hole. The hole is very, very, very small. The eye of a needle is very small indeed. And normally, I have to look really, really closely at it from above to get it through. There we go, so we got our thread through. No, we haven't got a thread through, I thought we did. This bit does take a bit of time and practice. You can get like assistant things to help with this, but I haven't got one of those. I have not got one of those. Come on. Get through there. It's always a fiddle. This is always the fiddliest bit. Okay, we got that through. Grab the end. And now we have our needle on our thread. We want to get it so both ends of the thread are over, and that's attached like that. So you have two bits of thread that are loose, and then this long bit which is attached to that needle. At the end of the thread is the other fiddly bit, which is where we need to do our knot. Now a double knot is the best one here, because it's going to be wider than the hole the needle goes through, meaning that the thread isn't going to slip through the hole, not making the join, so to speak. Making the join, so to speak. Right. And this is why I gave myself a bit of extra wriggle room when it came to the thread. Because we need the knot. Knot is now in. Our knot is in. So we have our length of thread knotted at the end. So we will have that. Picking up our piece of fabric, I'm going to start from this end and go across this way. So one of the reasons why I am now going to move myself. So I'm now going to be behind the camera. With the piece of material in front of us. Because I find it more easier to sew from this angle. Which means, once again, I'm going to pick up the camera and place it down. Sorry for the jerkies. Okay. So I'm going to start at the end here. Just above where that white patch is. Okay. And we're going to pull down and through. And there you see that knot has now stopped the thread from going any further. We want to keep our stitches as close together as possible, providing a strong stitch. You can do this by going up and down, and you can also do something called a back stitch. So when you've got your first bit in, which is this little red stitch here, you can then go back on yourself through or close to where we have our first stitch. Put it through. And that gives us mic attack. A very strong stitch because you've got it going backwards over itself. One of the stronger stitches. So depending on what you are putting in the bag, depends on the stitch you can do. You can have just the simple in and out stitch, which is good for like bags, which is good for like loose objects, of lighter things. If you want to use it for like heavier objects, I would recommend the back stitch. But I'm just going to do a simple in and out stitch. Just a simple in and out stitch. How long have we been sewing for? So I have been sewing for about maybe a year, maybe. Probably under that, because it's only been like a few weeks here and a few weeks there, rather than any sort of long, extended period of time. I do actually enjoy the therapeutic nature of sewing, as I get to just focus on what I'm doing and take my time in doing it. And at the same time, I'm creating something for somebody. And because I put my own time and effort into it, it makes it more personable, if that makes any sense. Now we've come to the end of our first pin. So we pull that pin out and pop it in our little pin cushion as we work our way along towards the next one. And this is why I have the ends of the pins here, because I'm a right-handed person, so I'm working from right to left. If you're left-handed, you go from left to right. So you would have your pins the other way around. Or if you just prefer to sew from the other way, then just change it round. It works either way. That's the great thing about sewing. Doesn't matter if you're right-handed, doesn't matter if you're left-handed. You can do any way you want to do and create something unique and special, and it's literally yours. Now I haven't done a sewing stream before. I haven't even recorded sewing before, so this is a completely new experience for me with you guys. Having this moment together where we can spend time creating a little dice bag, or a little gift bag, a bag for our gifts to our loved ones. And as we are in now December, thinking about friends and family, presents for them, and how to present these gifts to these people. And most of us would get, pre-bought wrapping paper to wrap up our stuff in. There's nothing wrong with that. Not all of us have the time to do sewing. The time, because sewing takes time. It takes effort, and you will stab yourself occasionally in the finger. If you're clumsy and you're worried about stabbing yourself with a needle, you can get these things called thimbles. They go over the base of the finger here, so when you hit your finger against that, it just hits the thimble instead. Thimbles are normally made out of a metal or a wood, which means that you get that stuff. Hello there, BBW! You have no patience to sew? Fair enough. Fair enough. I just enjoy it. I just thoroughly enjoy it. How are you doing today, BBW? Everything good with you? It's good to see you here. What hobby do you like? Do you like painting? Do you like running, cycling? Do you have a creative hobby, so to speak? As we to make a little dice bag. My other creative hobby is painting my little Warhammer miniatures. I don't obviously make the Warhammer miniatures, they're made by Games Workshop kits, and then I just build the kit, and then I paint the kit. But I enjoy it. I know, Bree. I know. What are you still awake, are you, Bree? You not able to sleep? How's it going? But yeah, I actually do enjoy sewing. I just don't have a lot of time for it. I want to try and get back into sewing. I do want to try and get back into sewing. It's just a therapeutic thing for me. It's just trying to make time for it. You just can't sleep. Fair enough. Well, hopefully, spending some time here with us today in a nice, relaxed atmosphere where we are making a little dice or gift bag will help you. Now you can see that the thread is getting smaller and smaller as we continue along the bag, and this is why I quadrupled the length of the thread in the bag. I found out through my past experiences with sewing that it's best to have more thread than you need to than not enough. As we're going along this long bit now towards the top, we won't go all the way up towards the top than that. When the kid is older, you're going to teach them. If they're interested. It really does depend on what their interests are. I want to encourage them to follow their own passions. But if they want to sew and they enjoy it, then yeah, me and Zini will have some time sewing together. We'll sew up all the patches on their clothing when they get damaged, running around and playing, you know? Which is another reason why I wanted to learn to sew anyway, before I knew that Sylveon was pregnant. I wanted to learn to sew because I could never sew before. I never sewed, believe it or not. Before last year, I had never picked up a needle and thread to sew. I bought a book on sewing, which this pattern is from, and I got myself a little sewing kit, which is here. That's my little sewing kit. It's got space for all my stuff, and it sort of lives. My sewing stuff lives in there. Sewing stuff lives in there. I have to put it down for a second. But I find it therapeutic now that I've started. I just need to make more time for it. Like all things, like all hobbies, you have to make time for it. So I'm combining my hobby / second job of Twitch with, which is most definitely a hobby, sewing. Most definitely a hobby is sewing. I can't make any money out of this. It's just cute to picture the kid and you sewing. Yeah, it would be lovely. It'd be gorgeous. It'd be fantastic. It'd be a wonderful experience to share with them. You know, having that time, father and child, just making something together, talking about the day, and allowing their hands to just move. Because you don't really need to focus too much. Well, I find you don't really need to focus too much on that. Once you start, you just let the needle work. And that's why they call it needlework, because the needle works for you. Get to the end of that pin. That pin can go pop. Pop that pin in. Pop a pin in it. And that's where the expression pop a pin in it comes from. Because you're popping a pin into your pin cushion. And that's where the phrase pop a pin in it comes from. And now that's used for saying, we'll come back to that idea later, which works. You remember your dad and you made activities to do on Sundays after church. You miss those days? Don't we all? Don't we all, Bree? Because those times seem like simpler times when we didn't have a worry, so to speak, because we were younger. The world seemed a much beautiful place. We didn't have worries or cares too much. We had something that our young brains look forward to. The only problem with sewing on the floor is the posture. Bent over. It's one of the main issues of sewing on the floor. Oh, that was my hip. But we're nearly there. We're nearly there. I recommend if you do take up sewing, to have like a proper little sewing bench where you can sit up and sit back when you're doing it, especially if you're sewing by hand. Especially if you're sewing by hand. Because it definitely takes more time sewing by hand than machine. Machine you can get like really, really neat stitches that are really, really close together. And very much more in line with each other. Now you may see that when we put this down a second, I want that much space at the top. But when that's pinned down, a few more stitches at the top here. 1, 2. Now you can see that we've got our main base round, that my stitches aren't exactly straight. My stitches aren't exactly straight. We need a little gap at the top. We don't want to sew all the way up to the top, so what we're going to do is then go back on ourselves. 1, this strengthens the stitches. So we're now going backwards on ourselves. So it strengthens the stitches. And I'm using up the rest of the thread to secure the seams of the bag, making it a bit stronger. You can obviously go back on yourself as well, and if you want to go all the way back, you need a lot more thread than what I've got. This will probably just take us down to about halfway. And this allows, so not only for the bag to be a little bit stronger around the sides, the longer side, which is its weaker side, but it also allows us to, do it. And you can now see that I'm switching from my right hand to my left hand for the sewing. So I'm going right, then left, push going through with my right, push and then pull with my left, then push with my left and pull with my right. So I can sort of ambidextrous sew. Ambidextrous sewing. As we get back towards the corner. The corner and this long side are the weakest sides of any sort of bag, which is why you'll find, even in the mass-produced ones, that the longest sides for it and any sort of corners are always the ones that have the most work on them, because those are the bits that will get the most wear and tear from use. You're near there. And it's also the place where you can hide your tie-offs. It's also a place where you can hide your tie-offs. Let's just go back to right hand stitching for a second. Change to left hand stitching. My right shoulder's getting a bit sore, so I'm just going to change to left hand stitching. Yep, that's right. I can do it both sides. Woohoo! Ah, the joys. the joys of being able to do things with both hands. So if one gets tired, you can swap over to the other one. Swap over to the other one, and then back to right, and back to left, and then back to the right hand, and then back to the left hand. Which is where I want to be. So we're back down to the corner. Now we're going to tie off. We're going to basically tie off the stitch. So what we do is we make it go around once. We need to hold this bit here. Get our needle, pass it back up. Trying to get as close to your point as possible. Up. So we have that going through. We're going to go round like that, tie it off, and we've now tied off our stitch. Clip that off. The excess thread can go to the side for a minute. We'll have to dispose that in a minute. Put our little needle in there, and we have our bag. Oh dear, it don't look too good, does it? It don't look too good, the whole like upside down one, inside out. You're trying to get in contact with your friend, but he is fast asleep and trying to talk to Switch taking in Discord. Fair enough. So now we've got our threads done. You can see that this is all looking very, very nice. It's not something you really want to give. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the inside of our bag. So we put our hand in it, we grab it from the bottom, we turn it inside out. That's right, we turn it inside out. We pop our hand back in there, push it down. You can use like a pencil or a pen, any sort of flat object to help with this if you don't have very long hands. Keep pushing it down. Push out the corners, and there it looks a lot better. And because of the way that we've done it, you cannot see the sewing lines. You cannot see the sewing lines, and that's the basis for the little bag that we can put our dice in, that we can put our little gifts in. Let's just get some water. Perfect. It's not finished. It's nowhere near finished. Nowhere near finished, because we want this to be a little thing for some special gifts, you know, or some little coins. We can push out these edges a bit more. Alright, push these edges out a bit more. We want this to be like a little gift bag. So what's missing from this gift bag that makes it a gift bag? A bow. A bow is missing, right? Right, we need a bow. We need a bow. So there's a piece of ribbon for it. We need a piece of ribbon for it. But how are we going to get this ribbon around here and make it look nice? Well, this is why we didn't sew all the way up to the top, and we have this little sort of like lip here. Because we're going to go and do something a bit strange. We're going to take this lip and we're going to fold it back out. So we're going to go back into our little bag. We're going to pop it back round to being inside out. You don't have to put it all the way out, but you know, we don't have to put it all the way out, but I will. So we pop a little bag back inside out. Okay. We then take this area and fold it. Okay. So we fold it back on itself, making a little like overhang. Okay. A little like overhang. We want it long enough and wide enough so the thread can fit around. Then getting our pins to hold it in place, we can go through the area to hold the bit in place. Now, we have to be careful when we're doing this bit, because what we don't want to do is close off the inside, so we don't want to sew that off. You can, instead of putting in a bow, if you have the skills and you have the equipment, you can put in like a little zip, but I'm putting in a ribbon to make a bow. So, we need a bit of wood to go in. Lovely. So we've got our base there. Put a ribbon to the side for a second. Put a ribbon to the side for a second. Getting our thread, we want to do, let's say we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a little bit more. 4 and a little bit more. Snip it off. Beautiful. And now, once again, to the most tricky part of sewing. Getting this thread through this needle. The concentration is needed. There we go. Then get it to half and half. Get it to half and half. The needle. Make sure the needle's in the center. Tie a knot at the top. Tie a knot at the top. I got my tongue up because I'm concentrating. Concentration is really tough for this bit. Come on. Come on. Come through. There we go. There we are. So we've got our knot at the top. There it is. Grabbing our bag. Now, this is where we have to be careful. We want to make sure that we have a gap here and not go too crazy. So we go underneath the pin where we have a little pin. It's probably a bit too low down. We go all the way through, making sure that we do not go right through, but only like into the center. Into the center. And this is why I am using a red thread, because now we go back through the bag to the outside. So inside to outside. And because the fabric is red, by using a red thread, it should be less visible. Another way of making it less visible is trying as best as possible on the outside to go back through, or as close to back through, the hole that you sewed as possible. It's then on the inside where you can make your jump, so to speak, to get round there, like so. So try to get back. So if I try to actively show you that you try to get back through as close as possible. You pull your thread all the way through. Let's take that bit off for a minute. And then you can, if I open it up, you can see that there's not really much of a showing of the thread on the outside, which you'll see better once we have completed. So we just keep going round. Just keep going round, making sure that we have our little opening for our bow to go through, as well as not going and closing up a bag and making it not a bag but a pocket, like you would use for, say for example, a smelly bag. So if you were using this for, like, say, dried lavender, this is where you would put your lavender inside and just stitch the top off. If you were making like one of those scented bags. Yeah, if you wanted to make a scented bag, you would just turn it the right way around, put in your scent that you want to be scented in there, and then you would sew the top shut together using whatever method you want to sew it together. As I say, I prefer, as we're making a dice or gift bag, we obviously don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to, you know, make it so we can put things in and take things out. Put things in and take things out. That's what we want to do. So that is what we will do. Is there anything particular that you would like to see sewn, or me attempt to sew in the future? Because I'm still an amateur. I will fully admit that I am still very much an amateur when it comes to sewing. Let's put my hand in here. I'm still very much an amateur when it comes to sewing. I've not got, so if I think about how long I've actually spent sewing, I'm probably clocking about a month, maybe, or just over a month at most. I've made 3 little dice bags. About 3 little dice bags. I've made this to be my 4th little dice bag. I tried to make a like a big bag, like a handbag. That failed miserably. How about a blanket? Maybe. I could try like a bigger version of this. It'd have to have some stuffing in. Blanket is more like something you would knit than sew. Blankets are normally made from wool, and that's like knitting. While what I'm doing is sewing. Very similar sort of things, I suppose. While knitting, you use needles to make the wool into a blanket or jumper. Sewing, I take 2 pieces of material, or in this case, 1 piece of material, and fuse them together. But I could have a look, see if it's something that's be possible, because you could make like cushion covers that go over cushions. I would obviously need material big enough for that. So I could make like covers for like mattresses and stuff, mattress covers. If you think about it, if you look at what we're doing here with our little dice bag, if you made it bigger, you could put a mattress inside of it. If you think about it, if you made it big enough, you could put anything inside of it. Because the basic of any sort of bag or storage container when it comes to fabric is this. If you think about it, you've got your opening at the top where you put your stuff in, and then you've got your sides where everything is contained in. So it doesn't matter if it's a small bag or big one. The only difference is the amount of fabric needed and the amount of thread needed. And if you are going to do a big project like that, you're going to preferably want like a sewing machine. You're going to want like a sewing machine. because it's going to take so long to do by hand, and you want that to be a bit more accurate with its stitching. And as I don't have a sewing machine, the bigger projects are sort of like off limits to me, as they would be so much more harder to do rather than something small. This is why my bag, the purse bag that I was trying to make, the handbag, so to speak, failed so miserably, because I'm doing it by hand, and because my stitches aren't, well, straight by any sense of the word, it was difficult for me to achieve. But yeah, I could think about maybe if I ever get to a point where I could afford a sewing machine, then most certainly it'd be something I'd be looking into, like pillowcases, duvets, handbags. I really want to make a handbag. I was going to make a handbag for one of my friends, but because it turned out so bad, it was so bad. It was no good. It wouldn't have done the job that I wanted it to, which would be to obviously hold all their pieces and bits. I thought I had the batteries on charge. Give me a second. I thought I had it on charge. Turned out I didn't have it on charge. It's like, your battery is running low. Please turn on. I was like, oh dear. I's a numpty. I's a numpty doo. I's a numpty nump. But there we go. I can make like laptop covers, phone covers. You know, you just make. And this is how you would sew a pocket as well, if you think about it. If you were wanting to add a pocket to like a jean or a trousers or dress, you get material that match that trouser, those trousers or the dress or skirt, and then you would sew this like the pocket to begin with to the size you wanted, and then attach it once again by sewing into the item, or you just sew it straight on, kind of thing. Just sew it straight on. If you think about it. If you think about it that way. Right, we're getting to the end of this bit. There we go. And now we need to do a little tie session. We haven't got a lot to play with. So we need to go back up before we get to the end. Okay. So we need to go around. Through. And through. And then what I like to do is without going through the outside, so underneath the lip here of this bit, because of how this we go up, round, hole there, right? Hole there, then through that hole, knot, cut off the excess. Okay, that in there. So now, when I fold it back round, we should, hopefully, not have too much of an issue on the outside of our little gift bag, hopefully. Silver door handbag made from you. Yeah, it would be a present for a special occasion, like the birth of our child. I just don't have the skills to do it. I just don't have the skills to do it, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't have the skills to do one of that size. The amount of material and sewing that you would need to do by hand would be crazy. So let's pop that out a little bit. So we want this bit that we just sewn to be slightly out. Okay. So we've now got our little lip. Okay, we've got a little lip. So it's not the most prettiest thing in the world, but it will do. It will do. It's not the most prettiest thing in the world. It will do. Now, we need to choose a piece of ribbon for it. Yep, keep practicing. This is why I'm doing this for you on stream. Because one, I wanted to make a little bag on stream, and two, I wanted to practice it. So we'll take a piece of ribbon. In this case, we have this white ribbon. And we have a safety pin. We get our little safety pin. We put it for the edge of our ribbon. Okay? We then close that round our little piece of ribbon, so it's attached. And this is how we get the piece of ribbon through here. So we put that in there, into our hole that we've just sewn. The safety pin is here, ribbon is here. We just guide the safety pin around the bag, pulling the ribbon through as we go. So safety pin round, pull. Safety pin round, pull. Safety pin round the corner, round the corner, pull. Keep going, keep going. It is a very nice ribbon, indeed. You can get all sorts of colours for ribbons. This was one that came with one of the babies' things for their wash stuff. So it was actually on like wrapping up their little flannels. And then if we keep pushing, we'll see the end of the safety pin. So we pull that out. There we go. So we've got the ribbon. Grab the end. Pull, 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 pull. Pull, pull, pull. Until we get the ribbon the same length. Open the bag a bit. The ribbon here is now a bit long for the bag. Detach the safety pin from the end of the ribbon. That ribbon is now a bit long for the bag we got. Right, that's a bit long for the bag we got. So what we need to do is first of all do a little knot here. So a little knot here. No, you don't want a little knot there. You want a knot at the end where you're going to have your end. So we want it to be, say, that long. You want it to be that long. Cut there. Little knot at the end. Little knot at the end. It's pretty, or however you want to do the knot. I'm terrible at doing knots. Believe it or not, I am absolutely terrible at tying knots. Cross round, through. Okay. Then cross round and through. Come on, come on, come on. Come here. Come here. No, come back here. Come back here. Thank you. There we go. So we have a little knot. And now we have our little gift bag or dice bag. So you get whatever gift you'd want or whatever little dice you want to put in there. For example, I'm going to put this in here. Make sure it's sealed up. You put that in there like that. And then you pull the drawstrings together. Pull these bits together. And there you have your little bag. And then you hang that on a tree, for example, with a little gift tag attached saying who it's to. Then they would take it off the tree, open the bag up, and take out whatever's in there. And that is how we make a nice little gift bag or dice bag for your loved ones, your friends and family. Of course, you can choose whatever ribbon you want to choose, whatever fabric you want to choose. There we go. That is a little bag.